Hello everyone, welcome back to the second week of the painting kit tutorial. And hari ini kita bakal nyelesain painting kit yang kedua yang ada di bulan Maret dan April. Jadi jangan lupa sebelum mulai untuk potong referensinya dulu. So don't forget to cut your reference and prepare your glass of water, palette, a brush, and also your paint and your tissue paper. Jadi air yang bersih, palette, kalau bisa palette yang bersih, kuas, dan tisu. Nah, kita mulai dari bagian langitnya. So we start from the negative space of the sky area, so outside the clouds. And first we make a mixture of blue with ultramarine blue and also cobalt blue. Di sana juga ada a hint of purple, jadi kita juga bikin mixture purple-nya dulu. Karena kita harus ingat untuk selalu bikin mixture dulu sebelum langsung ngewarnain ke gambar. Oh yeah, before that, if you have washi tape, you can tape it first. Or if you don't have one, that's fine. But I like to have it neat, so aku pasang washi tape di sekelilingnya. Jadi gambarnya juga lebih gampang. Kita pakai teknik yang kayak kemarin, which is wet on wet. So here I'm mixing both blue and purple. Jadi untuk wet on wet enaknya tuh bisa ya kayak gini. Jadi kayak tie dye, kita bisa nyampur dua warna sekaligus di one area yang udah basah. But remember not to mix it too much because the color will mix. Jadi nanti agak blurry gitu warnanya. Jadi yang penting you put the pigments to it. You can brush it a little bit. Biar warnanya nggak terlalu kayak kalau kalian mau ngarahin ke mana gitu, jadi bisa diarahin dulu, tapi nggak usah di brush terlalu banyak karena nanti warna jadi blur. Nah, ini teknik wet on wet yang paling menyenangkan sih, karena we can mix two different colors, terus prosesnya juga very fun to watch. Here I'm adding another tone, jadi a little bit of orange. I use red, deep red here, but very transparent, so I add a lot of water to the mixture. Nggak terlalu pigmented. And I repeat the same steps on the other parts of the sky. All wet on wet and then add pigment. Ini wet on wet, cuman the brush is just a little bit masih ada pigment, masih ada sisa pigment birunya, but that's okay karena anyway cloudsnya bakal biru kan. Jadi mungkin ada sisa sedikit, jadi kuasnya nggak completely bening gitu. Here I add a little bit of cobalt blue. Jadi warna birunya agak beda sedikit dari yang sebelah kanan. Also mix it with a little bit of purple. Sekarang we do the grass area, tapi yang paling depan, so the very front part of the grass area, dan kita bikin warna hijau yang seperti, sebenarnya mixture-nya mirip kayak yang ada di painting kit minggu lalu. Jadi viridian green, antara viridian green campur dengan lemon yellow sama Van Dyke brown, tapi kadang di sini aku taruh sedikit ultramarine dan paint spray. Jadi tone-nya bisa berubah-ubah. Bikin mixture-nya agak banyak, jadi nggak habis tengah jalan. Jadi warnanya itu tetap constant. Karena kalau habis tengah jalan takutnya nggak bisa bikin warna yang exactly the same. Jadi mendingan siapin warnanya agak banyak aja. Mendingan kelebihan daripada habis. Be careful not to color on the flowers. Jadi pas kalau udah dekat yang bagian sunflower-nya agak hati-hati aja. Use the tip of the brush on the fine details. Nah sekarang mau bikin kayak wet on wet gitu. Jadi the green area yang barusan kita warnain kan masih basah. Jadi dia dalam keadaan half dry. We put darker pigments to it. Jadi it's also wet on wet here to add more dimension. And again, don't mix it too much. Jadi di total-total aja. Now with the same green, we color the other parts of the grass area yang agak di belakang. Karena tadi kita udah nambahin Van Dyke brown sedikit, jadi tone-nya otomatis agak lebih gelap dan brownish green gitu. Jadi bisa langsung. And be very careful karena di sana kan tempat pohon pohon yang paling gelapnya. Tapi actually that's okay because the trees are way darker. Jadi kalau misalnya kena dikit juga nggak apa-apa. Kalau warnanya transparent, you can always put darker paints di atasnya, tapi kalau misalnya dia terlalu gelap, it's hard to make it lighter. Jadi it's always safe to do it lighter first. Ini I add more detail mumpung nungguin yang hijau yang di belakangnya kering. Jadi Nah again, sambil nunggu kering, I paint the very back. I guess it's a mountain with a mixture of blue, tapi mostly cobalt blue. Now the clouds, we are going to paint the clouds. Siapin warna dulu, be ready with your mixture. Jadi mulai dari di sana ada warna orange sedikit, a bit of orange, and then there's also lemon yellow. Ini mirip dengan wet on wet, tapi lebih ke, so I paint one area dulu yellow, and then I paint the other area warna lain, which is orange. Terus biarkan mereka ngeblend sendiri, jadi blendnya halus gitu. Also the same thing on other area. Dan di beberapa area kan warna orange-nya langsung ketemu dengan purple, jadi kita harus bikin purple dulu. Dan purple-nya beda sama yang tadi, jadi lebih into blue. Kalau tadi banyakan rose madder-nya, ini kita nambahin ultramarine-nya lebih banyak. Nah sama kayak yang awal, warna kuning dulu, and then if you need orange, I add orange here. Terus baru nanti disambungin langsung sama purple-nya. Nah, kalau lagi bikin awan kayak gini, jangan ditinggalin, because kalau udah kering, nanti dia pasti bakal kelihatan garisnya. So, do it while it's still wet, when you want to mix colors. Use the tip of the brush for details on the edges of the clouds. Jadi jangan terlalu kayak datar gitu. Mungkin harus agak bergerigi. Nah, sometimes I mix with water. Jadi the tone of the purple will change. Kadang dia gelap, kadang dia transparent. Tapi nggak apa-apa. Jadi lebih dynamic gitu clouds-nya. And don't forget, every time you want to switch colors, bersihin dulu kuasnya, jadi warnanya nggak jadi campuran antara dua warna yang harusnya nggak kecampur. Every time you want to change color, dip your brush into the water first, and then you can change color. And do the same technique in all of the parts. Now I make a little bit of a blue mixture between ultramarine and cobalt blue just to give a little bit of texture to the edges of the clouds. Okay, now we're going to do the first layer of the mountains at the very back. Jadi bagian gunung yang paling belakang. First layernya dulu, which is di situ ada a little bit of orange shade. Tapi very transparent. Jadi pakai orange yang tadi aja, tapi ditambahin air. You don't have to make a new mixture because it's just a very small area that you need to cover. Now we are making the grain shade for the middle area of the grass. So there's like a couple hills there and we need different shades of green. So I'm just switching the greens a little bit. Jadi warna hijaunya tuh bikin tone yang agak berbeda-beda gitu. Jadi per segmen hillsnya dan grass areanya tuh kelihatan. So some greens I add more yellow and Van Dyke brown, jadi more of a sap green, kayak olive green. Tapi beberapa area mungkin agak lebih ke very cool tone green with more ultramarine blue and Payne's gray. Nah, yang bagian tengah ini I'm using I call it a warm green. Jadi greennya banyakan yellow. It's a yellowish green. And here I'm doing a little bit of texturing with wet on wet techniques. Jadi just like the other parts of the grass area. For shading in the lower parts of the grass, so there's a gradient. Di sini aku tambahin lagi pigment yang even darker Jadi dimensionnya lebih berasa, nggak flat green, dan ada warnanya jadinya. I'm coloring the other parts of the grass area, and it's important to wait for the other sections to dry first, karena kalau enggak nanti bisa terjadi yang namanya bleeding, which the color will transfer to the other section. So you have to wait until it's dry, and it creates that crisp line on the edges. Makanya aku nggak suka kayak kalau sketsa itu garisnya tuh nggak tebal, karena I like how the watercolor create the shape when it dries. Makanya biasanya kalau aku sketsa tuh benar-benar tipis banget gitu. Here I'm using the same green but very transparent, so I add a lot of water for the very first layer of the mountains at the back. Nah, sekarang baru untuk second layernya, ini pakai hijau yang lebih pigmented, jadi water ratio-nya lebih kecil. Now we are creating another shade of green for the last part of the grass area, and here I'm using more ultramarine blue, so the shade is a little bit towards the cool tone. Jadi warna hijaunya agak beda daripada yang section yang di tengah, agak lebih hijau kebiruan gitu, biar kelihatan aja perbedaan antar hillsnya. And again, I'm currently doing the first layer of the mountain. Jadi it's about waiting for the parts to dry, baru nanti tambahin layer lagi. I'm currently making a very deep green with gradient and Van Dyke for the texture of the mountain. So remember, for this part, don't use a very wet brush because it will not create that natural texture. Jadi brushnya tuh jangan kayak penuh dengan cat airnya, tapi agak it's kayak gak terlalu kayak lebih kering gitu. Jadi brushnya tuh kalau ketemu kertasnya dia teksturnya jadi kelihatan. And if it's possible, if you have extra brush yang lebih kecil, that's even better. Karena jadi cepet habis gitu pigmentnya dari brushnya. When you slide down, nah jadinya ketemu tekstur kertas yang kasar gitu, jadi kelihatan the brush texture-nya. Tapi if not, that's okay. Yang penting gak terlalu basah aja. So if you can see here, the way I did it is all with one motion. Jadi when you put down the brush, you just do one slide gitu, not brushing it over and over or going back and forth. Karena lama-lama teksturnya bakal hilang. Here I'm using a smaller brush and hope that I can have more texture to it, and also adding a little bit darker color di beberapa area, jadi warnanya lebih berdimensi. Now some parts of the grass area that I haven't finished, I create a darker shades of green because the part that's left is the very darker shade of green. Caranya bikin hijau yang gelap itu sebenarnya hanya ngecampurin lots of, jadi verdiannya dikit aja, tapi yang banyak itu mungkin banyakan Van Dyke Brown sama Payne's Gray. Karena mereka adalah warna-warna yang gelap. If you want to have more of warm green, you add Van Dyke Brown. Tapi kalau mau yang cool tone green, itu kebanyakan pakai Payne's Gray. Atau enggak ultramarine, tapi kalau mau lebih gelap lagi pakai Payne's Gray. Now onto the second layer of the mountain at the back. Ini tuh sebenarnya nge-texturing pohon-pohon kecil yang ada di belakang. So I'm painting this smaller trees tapi but just in form of the silhouette. Jadi nggak detail sama sekali, cuman you can see here I'm just doing like dots. Jadi cuma ditotol-totol gitu. In some areas, I blend with just water. Jadi udah ditaruh pigmentnya, I dip the brush into the water and then I just blend the area. Kadang dititik-titikin, kadang cuma di brush biar ngeblend aja gradient gitu. Now I create even a darker green untuk texturing sama, tetap pohon-pohon siluet yang di belakang. So here I'm just playing with the contrast. Kalau misalnya hijaunya agak terlalu sama kayak yang gunung kan jadi nggak terlalu kelihatan which part is which gitu. Jadi aku pakai warna hijau yang jauh lebih gelap lagi sekarang so that you can differentiate. Dan ini udah masuk ke detailing, jadi semakin detail itu tuh semakin gelap warnanya biasa. It's more pigmented, more contrast, more pigmented. Now I'm doing a little bit of pink, not pink, but deep red in the details at the grass area on the left side. I just use rose madder and also a little bit of Payne's gray. It's like red, purplish red. I guess that's the roof of the houses, but since it's very small, you just need to create a texture that looks like houses. Now we're going to color this sunflower. Because the lemon yellow is very light, I just tone it down a little bit with a little bit of red. And then also because of the red itself, the orange itself is too red, I tone it down with a little bit of Van Dyke brown. Jadi warnanya nggak terlalu mentereng gitu. And always start with the lighter color. Jadi mulai dari warna yang kuning dulu. And it works the same just like the clouds. Jadi warnain dulu one part warna kuning, terus nanti baru disambungin dengan warna yang lain while it's still wet. Now I'm going to add a little bit of darker color in the middle of the flower, also while it's still wet, but it's more like half dry, jadi warnanya nggak cepet banget transfernya. Tetap ngeblend tapi nggak kayak langsung tercampur gitu kalau half dry. Onto the very last part of the painting, which is the trees at the front. Here I'm using a very dark green, almost like black. So I add a lot of Van Dyke brown and Payne's gray together, and also Verdant green. Tapi rasionya, jadi it's supposed to be very pigmented, so the water ratio will be more of the paint than the water. Jadi it's not transparent at all. And then use the tip of the brush to create the texture of the trees. And you can finish the rest of the pine trees. Now just a little bit of finishing touch in front of the flower. We're done. You can peel off your washi tape, and there you have it, your own painting on the calendar. Okay guys, I hope you like this tutorial and I hope you find it helpful. You can tag me when you finish your painting at my Instagram at ENT-AMELIA AA at the end. Don't throw away your reference, and you can use it just like this. Tape it on the board or your cupboard, and see you again in the next tutorial. Bye!